Let's now move to the last principle I want to talk about, and that will give us some time to for questions. Liking. Nobody would be surprised here to learn that we prefer to say yes to those we know and like. No surprise at all. But here's what the research shows inclines people to like us in the first place. Liking flows from positive connections. We like those who are similar to us. We like those who give us compliments. We like those who cooperate with us toward common goals. Right? And then we like pleasant associations. We like people who are attractive and humorous and so on. I'm not even going to talk about that. Let's talk about the first three. We like people who are like us. Similarities. When I was taking training, learning how to sell automobiles, we were told that if someone comes in to trade in an old car for a new one, when we look at the used car, don't just examine it for dents and rust spots and wear on the tires. Look for evidence of the hobby of the individual. Are there golf balls on the back seat? Camping equipment in the trunk? Ski rack on the roof? If so, when you get them into your office, you say, gee, I hope the weather holds for another day because I'm scheduled to play 18 holes of golf tomorrow. How about you? Are you a golfer? You are? Really? Me too. And suddenly there's a bond of similarity that could be exploited. And with compliments, a similar kind of lesson was taught. When I was learning how to sell insurance, we were told, if you were to go to a couple's home and you met them outside, compliment the landscaping. If you meet them inside, compliment the decor. If a child goes by, compliment the kid. Whatever is prominent in the situation, praise it, because we are tremendous suckers for flattery. Turns out that praise, and there's research on this, praise is the only information that is just as successful when it's false as when it's true. This is true. We like people who give us phony compliments just as much as people who give us genuine compliments, and we believe them equally. Now here's where I want to come to the ethics part, maybe. That's probably true, but I think it misses a couple of vital dimensions that we need to consider within the influence process. One is the ethics of it, and fabricating commonalities, inventing compliments, and so on, have problematic consequences, not just because they're objectionable on an ethical dimension, which I think they are, but they also eat away at the self-esteem of the people who have to use these strategies in order to be successful. They have to be cheaters. That's who they are. That's how they have to conceive of themselves. And those consequences are not to be minimized. Instead, I think there's a different strategy. I tend to call this kind of approach, this deceptive approach, the smuggler's approach to influence, where someone who has recognized what these principles are imports them into situations where they don't naturally reside, creates perceived similarities, invents commendable features and comments, praise and compliments. It's not necessary, it seems to me, because the other model that strikes me as much more preferable is, both from an ethical perspective but also a pragmatic perspective, is the detective's model. One who goes into a situation also informed with the knowledge of what these principles are, but looking to uncover them like a sleuth would, and bring them to the surface to make them more prominent, to make them more visible in the eyes of one's influence partner. And that may take a little longer, may take some homework and so on, but it's much preferable because let's say we interact with someone until we come upon a genuine similarity and raise that to the surface. We interact with someone until we come upon a genuinely laudable feature of that individual and then raise that to the surface. The advantage is it's ethical. Secondly, it is likely to be effective to cause that person to like us, but I don't think that's the real functional reason why liking leads to compliance. And the liking factor is so important in influence. If indeed we have genuinely located commonalities and commendable qualities in another person, we come to like that person more than before. Not just they come to like us, we now come to like them because we are just as susceptible to those principles as they are. If we've invented some commonality, there's no real similar. If we have located one, now we like the people who are like us. And when they recognize that we like them, they get to exhale a breath that they don't get to exhale just by knowing that they like us. Look, if I like you, there's no ready reason why I should follow your advice. But if I know that you like me, there is a reason. Because we take care of the people we like. We watch their flanks. We protect them. We go the extra mile for the people we like. So when you've got two people who like each other working together, it's an extraordinarily fertile ground for cooperation and productive interactions. People miss, I think, that it's a secret of the influence process. I saw an interview a while ago. I didn't see it. I heard it. It was a radio interview from one of the former producers of the Oprah Winfrey Show. Oprah Winfrey is a remarkable personage in our society, just remarkable, and enormous amounts of success, all kinds of influence that she's had. Didn't always start that way. She began with a few, with a local show, and it grew to a regional and then beyond. And when she started, she had a relatively limited base of viewership. They tended to be women who were at home watching during the day. And at that time, Oprah had a weight problem. She was much larger than, she's had a fluctuation in weight during the time that she's been around. And a lot of the women who were watching her had a similar kind of problem. And then she began to lose weight. And her producers were worried that she would start to lose her audience base. And sure enough, she began to lose precisely those women. And they did some focus groups to check, see if they were right in terms of this. So the reason that you're not watching Oprah anymore is that she's thin now and you don't like her as much. And people said, no, that's not it. The reason is now that she's thin, we don't think she'd like us as much. See, that still makes my throat dry. But there's a very important point there. which is, do you want people to stay connected to you, to stay committed, aligned with you? The